Hello everyone, this is Ron Williams with Web Builder Templates, and this video I'm going to show you how to set up a simple pop-up modal box for your form versus redirecting to a success page. Typically in a lot of stuff I create, many times when someone fills the forms I'm making are not super complex, and it's like mainly just a simple quote form or contact form, and I prefer having a box pop up saying that the form's been submitted, and that someone will get back to you within 24 hours or whatever, versus redirecting to a whole nother new page that I have to create. And now this may not work for everybody. It all depends on what you want on the success page. Now, if you're putting a bunch of information on there, then this might not work for you. But I'm going to show you how to do something quick and simple, and I use it quite often. So I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail on how to create the form itself. I'm going to show you mainly once you've set up a form. I'm going to assume you kind of already know how to do that. And I'm going to show you the part mainly that you need to do to get it to be a pop-up. I will quickly go through what I have on my form, but I'm not going to go in great detail about each piece on there. So what I've got in front of me here, as you can see, is I've set up for my demo. This is a layout grid. I'll click on here. As you can see, it's just a simple layout grid. I've got 3 columns, and then within the middle column is where I put my form. Now, I've also put the form elements into a layout grid. So you can see here, this is a grid within a grid. So I have the quote grid. I simply created it just one column all the way across. And this is where I'm going to place all my form elements, is inside of this, because I'm going to use this layout grid as my form. Before we get into that, let me first just kind of show you all this is. It's just I've got an image, some text boxes I put in here. I have these 3 edit boxes. We'll quickly choose this one. Nothing fancy here. This is just the name. In every case on this form, as you can see, I've got the name with the an asterisk. All these are required. I'm requiring the person to fill out all 4 of these before they submit it. So in each case, I'm going to use validate, and then in this case, I'm simply using the HTML5, and I'm clicking the data required to make sure that they have to put something in that box for the form to get submitted. In each case, I've done the same thing for the phone and email. This is just a simple drop down box where I've chosen give a choice of a phone or email. And again, the validate is I have that one set to default. Could go to HTML5 with that one as well. Not sure why I have that one on default. And then I've got my reCAPTCHA 2. Now this reCAPTCHA 2 is not the extension. It is the actual, if you come over and look under the forms, if I can find it over here. Oops, I went too far. Try that again. There it is. This is using the regular CAPTCHA button, and if you go into this, you have a choice of different reCAPTCHAs here. In version 16, you've got, so this is the version 2 that I'm using in this case. So I'm not using the separate extension. I just want to make that a point. All right, and then I've got my submit button. My submit button simply is just a themable button that I've styled it the way I want. There's nothing fancy on this button other than the styling. The only thing that I would tell you is this form, to prevent someone from doing the reCAPTCHA 2 and not filling anything out and hitting the submit button or trying to bypass it, I've disabled the submit button by checking this box. So when we look at, when we preview it and when we see it online, you will see that that button will be grayed out until the reCAPTCHA has been clicked. This is to prevent them for any way of trying to do this, and I'll show you how to do that as well. But the first step is to disable the button from the get-go. All right, now let's take a quick peek at the reCAPTCHA, because there's some events that we're going to set up here real quick. What we want to do with the to enable the submit button once the reCAPTCHA has been checked is we're going to put this event. I'm going to show you what you want to do is set it to callback, enable, and then the target is going to be your submit button. And as you can see, based over here in my object manager, I've given the submit button the ID submit button, so they match here. So that's what you want to do. So essentially what you're doing is you're disabling the button to begin with. Once the reCAPTCHA is checked, then this is going to enable your button. Okay. Now, we need to set up our information for the form, and we need to create our little pop-up box. Okay, so what we're going to do is I have hidden down here below my form a dialog box. I'm going to open that up here. And all this is a simple dialog box with these settings. I've set it to modal. I've made it draggable. I'm using layout mode as jQuery. I'm centering it vertically and horizontally so that it appears when it pops up, it'll be dead center in the page. And then I have it animate sliding in and sliding up and down as it comes in, just so to add a little style to it. All right. Now, as you notice, I have not dragged anything into the box. What we're going to do is populate this box with the success page that we are going to create, because the form itself, if we go to the form properties of the layout grid and look at the settings, when you set up a form, you are required to enter something in the success and error page. Now, as you notice, I'm using this. I've entered success HTML in there twice. I don't have an error page in this case because, for the most part, if they don't fill out any of the 4 boxes, then it tells them they need to fill it out. It won't let them submit. And even if they do the reCAPTCHA and they haven't filled something out, it still won't let them submit. So, for the most part, I haven't ran into a problem where I really need an error page. You do need to create a success page, which I'm going to show you here in a second. So I just simply put something in there just to make the WB happy that there's something in there. But in neither case do you get redirected to that page. So in the form here, you simply just, like any other form, give it a name, put in your email address, what the subject is, etc., etc. The key here is in the target. What we want to put in this target is the ID of our dialog box. Now, I've named our dialog box success, so that's what I typed in here. So whatever you change the name of that dialog box to, you want to type in here. That's the target. As far as the advanced, there's really nothing in the advanced fields. I put an autoresponder in here. Of course, you'll want to do that so that the person gets an email. You got your information to use PHP mailer instead of standard PHP. And I've included the IP address. Just kind of standard fare. It's really up to you what you put in those fields. But the main thing here is you want to target the success field. All right. Once you've pretty much put all your information in the form, what you're going to want to do is create a success page. Now, that's all I did. I created a success page. At the top, I simply put thank you. Your email request has been received. We'll respond to you shortly. Now, you can make this as big as you want, as wordy as you want. I like to keep it simple. Keep in mind, you do want to make this so that it's small enough to fit pop up on a cell phone as well as a computer. So you don't want to make this too wide, especially not any wider than your smallest breakpoint. So you don't have any horizontal scroll bars. Very simple to make this page. Now if we go back to the success dialog, open it up. Now I've added a few events to this because what's going to happen is once the form is filled out and you hit submit, this box is going to pop up. It's going to show the words from the success page in the box. Then you need a couple things to happen. Obviously there's a button here to close it out, but you want this, when this is clicked, this to close. You want your form to reset, and you also want your button, submit button, to go back to being not active. You back to the way it was originally. So in the events page, there are 3 events that I've added. Let's take a look at the first one. So what we want to do is we want to send an event that when we close, that we form reset, and we want to reset our form. So this target is basically the ID of the layout grid. As you can see, all my form is inside the quote grid, so that's what my target is. I want to reset, so that'll basically wipe everything out and set everything back to the way it originally was. Add another event. You want to add a close button. You want to disable the submit button. So that's going to put that back to the way it was, disabled. So that way it's not enabled, because then if it's enabled, someone can resubmit this form and without doing the reCAPTCHA. And then last, you want to add in this. Now this is something that you'll probably want to write down. On close, you're going to want to choose run JavaScript, and then in the JavaScript field you're going to write this. Now what this does when you close that button is it's going to reset your reCAPTCHA back fresh, so it's not pre-checked after you close the success button. So you will want to include all 3 of these on the dialog box. Okay. As far as everything else, I would set the breakpoint to 0. Reason being is whatever you set here, at whatever, if you set say 480 here, what will happen to this box is at 480 this box will become the complete width of that, at 480 it'll fill the screen left to right. You may want that, but because I like my text inside the box to look uniform and not look off-centered, I don't want that to happen, so I've set my breakpoint to 0 so it stays this size no matter what. Alright, and then what you want to do is simply hide this box because we don't want to see it when the page loads. Now let's take a look. Once we put all this together, obviously make sure in the page properties, because we're using a form, that you set your file extension to PHP for this to work. So when uploaded, this is what you get. As you can see, the button is grayed out. I can't click it. I'm trying to click it now. If I were to do the robot, it does now make, as you can see, once the reCAPTCHA has been checked, it makes this button available. However, if I try to click it, because these are all required, it's not letting me submit the button. So I have to come up here, I have to type something in. Alright, and then pick something like this. Now once these are all been filled in and you've done the reCAPTCHA, now you can schedule your consultation. As you can see, the pop-up box pops up, says thank you, your email request has been received. Now watch in the background, as you can see, this is all filled in and the box is checked, and that is active. Once I click this button, this will reset. Those events that we entered will reset all three things. As you can see, it's back to the way it was initially. Um, so again, the key thing here is to force not only that you have to do the reCAPTCHA, but this button doesn't become available until you do the reCAPTCHA. That just forces everybody to have to do that, which will hopefully cut down on spam. And then by making all these required, you don't have to worry about someone being able to submit until everything has been done. So hopefully you have found this video useful. And if you have any questions on how to do it or anything that I've shown you, please shoot me an email or uh, leave something down below the video and I will try to answer it there. Thanks for watching.